The USA is increasingly involved in ongoing conflicts around the world. They have invested significant power in supporting the defense in Ukraine, and now they are involved in Israel. This raises concerns about their capacity to support Australia. Should Australia rely on US support during potential crises, or should we make greater efforts to enhance our own military capabilities?
Yeah, interesting question. Keith, I'll start with you. They certainly are very busy, the United States, at the moment. There's no doubt about it.
Thanks, Patricia. I mean, it's been a long-held position that the US's place in the world helps maintain peace and stability in the world order. That's just been the case for a long period of time. They are, without doubt, our greatest ally. They absolutely are. And Australia has stood with the US has stood with us. And I don't want to take any of Matt's thunder, but I know there's a significant change around our force posture. This is all public. I'm not talking about anything that I shouldn't be talking about, particularly to the north. And people are very concerned. Experts, and there'll be some at the table, and I'm looking at one in particular, know that we have challenges, whether it's into the Pacific, whether it's the South China Sea, whether it's issues with Taiwan. All of those add pressure onto the Australian government, where it focuses its money and its budget and what it does. But everything I've seen says that we are increasing our force posture with changes to the north. We're looking at new technology, new equipment. But the US has been a long-term ally. It'll continue to be an ally into the future. And it's one which has been proven. So I think the United States is someone we can rely upon, as we can with the UK and others. But we need to ensure that we do maintain peace across the world, because no one wants to see an escalation. What happened in the Ukraine, it's exactly the same, right? Putin just simply crossed the border and started shooting people. And I heard the comments earlier about the government's done this. The government hasn't done this. Weak men with guns kicked doors in and murdered the innocent. That's what's happened. And the point, I think, is exactly spot on. These are terrorists. They will not give up. That is their intention, to continue to do what they're doing. And I'll come back to the point I made earlier. If it was my loved ones, I'd want every single possible option being undertaken to go and get them.
Oh, absolutely. But equally, I think other people want their loved ones to have access to medicine.
Of course.
And this is the situation we're in at the moment. I want to acknowledge that every time, because I do think right now there are Australians in the diaspora communities having a really difficult time. I know, because they've told me. And I think we need to respect that. Adam Bandt, I want to bring you in on this one, because the Greens take a bit of a different position, really, to the two major parties on this.
Well, nearly everything.
Well, not everything.
Except for voting with Labor, of course. Yeah.
Australia shouldn't be putting its defence of its country in the hands of Donald Trump, which is what being wholly...
He's not there.
Wholly reliant...
He hasn't been re-elected yet.
Well... By Australia saying that effectively our military will just be an offshoot of the US Army, then we are putting our sovereignty in the hands of whatever decision gets made in the US by the US people. Donald Trump has been president before. If he's president again, I don't want to rely on him for our defence and our security.
You prefer President Biden.
And I think at the moment... it's no wonder that Joe Biden's got a big smile on his face when Anthony Albanese's coming, because he's coming with an open chequebook, offering to write a $500 billion cheque for nuclear-powered submarines so that Australia can turn into an offensive arm of the US Army and US Navy. Right? Why does Australia need long-range submarines to be able to go and attack other countries further out? It's not for the defence of our country. It's so that we can be part of an offensive force the next time the US decides to go off to war. And Australia has followed the United States into every war, and many of them have ended very badly. In a cost of living crisis, imagine how much $500 billion could go to making it cheaper to go to the doctor or putting dental into Medicare, right? There's better things for Australia to be doing, and I think we should be making decisions, including defence decisions, about what is in Australia's best interests, what is going to de-escalate tensions in our region. We've got a good relationship with China, getting better relationship with the United States. It would be absolutely catastrophic if the United States and China went to war. Right? We could be playing a role in de-escalating tensions, and instead we're just throwing our lot in with one side that could be led by Donald Trump.
Well, the Prime Minister is going to go meet with President Xi Jinping imminently, so feel like that might be a thawing of the cold freezer. Yeah, on that question of if we're too reliant on the United States, especially when they're quite busy in a couple of theatres of war, Matt, is that where we're putting too many of our eggs in one basket?
The security alliance with the United States and indeed New Zealand, ANZUS, has been the foundation of Australia's defence and security since World War II. And I think it's served the nation well. It's produced relative peace and stability in our region, in our backyard, in the Pacific. And I don't believe that the Australian people want that changed. Having said that, we undertook a defence strategic review to look at the posture of Australia and our capability to defend our people into the future. And that review indicated that we do need to develop a sovereign capability, particularly around a number of areas, and we're doing that with the AUKUS arrangement, developing a nuclear-propelled submarine capability. We're developing a sovereign manufacturing industry for munitions, investing in better helicopter equipment with Black Hawks. But the most important investment that we're making is in our people, in the members of the Australian Defence Force. And we know that we need to grow that over the coming years and create rewarding and fulfilling careers for our ADF personnel. So the government's undertaking a number of reforms. We're looking at how we can support families. ADF members have to move around quite a bit through their deployments and postings. How can we support family members, kids that want a good education, partners that want to work? We're looking at reviewing defence housing, all aimed at improving our greatest asset, our people and our capability into the future.
Right. If I can get just some brief comments from both of you, because I'm really keen to get to our questioners tonight. I'm very ambitious about our questioners. Larissa.
I think what Australians want is, when we come to foreign policy, we talk about, politicians talk about national security or trade. There are other things that we could be negotiating around foreign affairs, including things like climate change, is really important. And I think when we look at, in this country, we want to make sure that our leaders are upholding ethical and consistent and upholding international law in the way that we do our foreign policy. We don't want to see politicians out there mouthing off. Things like AUKUS is a huge investment from Australia. It deserved to go to the Australian people as a debate before it was decided by a politician that we were going to go invest in these types of things.
Rodger?
Yes, I think it was a very good question, and it's also, I'd agree with much of what Adam and Larissa said. I think that it's very healthy to have a debate about these things, and we should, and there should be a healthy debate. The US alliance is a cornerstone of our defence posture, but I think more broadly than that, what we've been seeing over the past couple of years is a broader alliance of liberal democracies as well, not just a defence alliance, but that's grown out of these kind of defence alliances. So I think when we talk about these issues that rightly Adam and Larissa brought up, we should also look at one of the fundamental strengths of Australia's defence posture is the broader issue about our alliances with like-minded countries, not just the United States, but increasingly countries in Europe.